Well, I'm running low on 50-to-1 chainsaw gas, so I was going to show you guys how I go about mixing it. One of the biggest problems I think people have is the way they mix their fuel. And me, I do it a little different. This is what I use. It's a big syringe, and I've got it marked on here. I don't know if you can see it, but it shows 50-to-1 and 40-to-1, and I'm mixing 50-to-1, which would be this one here. So many cc's of oil to a gallon of gas is what it goes. So what I do is I take this, I got my gallon of gas here. Now this gas is what I call gas. In other words, it doesn't have any ethanol in it, it's gas. And I've got my oil, which I buy it by the quart because it's really cheap that way. And I just mix it. Put my finger over the bottom of the thing so it don't leak out, and I fill it up to the line where it says 50-to-1. You gotta be careful you don't get too much, because people don't realize how critical the gas-oil ratio is. But it's critical. If you're supposed to be running 50-to-1 and you don't want to have your saw spitting and sputtering and carrying on, you need to give it 50-to-1 mix. So that's what I try to do. And I'm pretty fussy. Most people say I'm more fussy than you need to be, and that could be true. That don't matter to me because I don't have problems with my stuff running right. So I guess it's worth it. I always use this jug. I found it works for me. And I always try to dry this plunger down because after a while the oil makes it swell. And then it's harder to get it back in your syringe. Then the next thing I do is I give it, I'm not real critical about this step, but I'll give it probably 10 to 15 cc's of seafoam into the fuel as a stabilizer and to help carbon build up in the two strokes. But I'm not as fussy about this. I'm going to give this 15 cc's or thereabout, 10 to 15, and it just runs right through. It doesn't need to be pressed. It runs right through there. Once you do that, now you got your gas mix. And then I shake it a little, just to be sure everything gets mixed up good. Once I do that, well, I just dump it in my can and we're ready to go. And I know it seems like, I'm awful fussy with how I mix it, but it's necessary to mix it the same every time if you want your saw to run the same every time. If you just go to the gas station with one of those little jugs like they give you, I've got some around here, but those are pretty accurate on the oil, on the amount of oil. But how accurate is your pump on the gallon? It's not as accurate as my can. My can's quite accurate. My syringes are quite accurate. So that's the way I do it. Thanks for watching.